Most people believe male and female dogs are the same. You feed them, you walk them, you love them, and they love you back. Simple, right? But after decades in practice and listening to owners who spent 15 or even 20 years with their heart dog, I can tell you something few realize: males and females live, love, and even struggle in shockingly different ways. Some of these differences are charming, others can break your heart, and a few might even decide how many years you have together. And here's the twist: you'll never look at your dog the same way again once you know the fifth difference. So let's begin where it matters most, with a truth that has startled more owners than any other: the hidden gap in health and lifespan between males and females. Difference number 1: lifespan and health. When it comes to lifespan, the numbers don't lie. Female dogs tend to outlive males. For many owners, this feels like a small detail, but it's not. In one massive study from the University of Georgia, looking at more than 70,000 dogs, females who were spayed lived about 26% longer than intact females, and neutered males lived nearly 14% longer than intact males. Banfield Pet Hospitals tracked over 2 million dogs and found almost the same thing: neutering and spaying added years of life. For anyone who has lost a dog after 15 years together, you know how precious even one extra year can feel. But here's the catch. Research from UC Davis shows that neutering too early, especially before 1-year-old, can actually raise the risk of hip dysplasia, ligament tears, and even certain cancers in large breeds like golden retrievers and German shepherds. So the truth isn't as simple as neuter equals longer life. Timing matters, breed matters, and the decision can shape not just how long your dog lives, but the quality of those years. Imagine looking at your dog and knowing one choice could mean the difference between 13 years or 16 between a late-life limp or healthy joints. That's the weight behind this first shocking difference. And it makes us ask an even harder question: if lifespan is so different, what about behavior? Because the way a dog acts, the way it greets strangers or guards your family, might shock you even more. Difference number 2: behavior and aggression. If health and lifespan already set males and females apart, behavior takes that divide even further. Studies have shown that male dogs are up to 6 times more likely to bite than females. Intact males, especially driven by hormones, can show more aggression toward strangers and other dogs. But here's where the story twists. Many people assume neutering automatically calms this down. In reality, it doesn't always work that way. A review of behavior studies found that neutering can sometimes increase anxiety, even raising aggression toward unfamiliar people. I've seen older clients shake their heads in disbelief, saying, "I'm 82 years old, I've owned a dozen dogs, and not once has one threatened me." And they're right. Because aggression is not black and white. It's shaped by how the dog is raised, the environment, the training, and yes, sometimes by gender. But not always in the ways we expect. Think about it. A male border collie might be gentle as a lamb, while a female terrier can guard the door like a soldier. The science points us in one direction, yet real life reminds us every dog is an individual. Still, when you step back and look at the big picture, males as a group tend to be bolder, more territorial, and more likely to test boundaries. And that brings us to the next shocking difference. Because if a male dog is more willing to push limits at home, what happens when those limits extend beyond your yard? What happens when instinct tells him to wander, to mark, to leave your side? The answer can be both fascinating and heartbreaking. Difference. Number 3. Territory and Wanderlust. If aggression shapes how a dog acts in your presence territory, and Wanderlust show you what happens when you're not looking. Male dogs are famous for roaming, driven by testosterone and an ancient urge to find mates and defend turf. Owners tell me stories of males who slipped out the gate and vanished for hours, sometimes days, returning scratched up from fights or limping from accidents. It's not stubbornness, it's biology. Studies in canine behavior journals confirm that intact males are significantly more likely to mark with urine, to challenge other males, and to stray far from home. And here's where the heartbreak lies. That same urge to wander puts them in danger. Roaming dogs are more likely to be hit by cars, to contract diseases from fights, and to end up in shelters. In fact, multiple surveys show that male dogs spend longer in shelters before adoption, not always because families dislike them, but because so many strays are intact males that never made it back home. Contrast this with females. They can certainly escape when in heat, but outside of that cycle, they're less driven to roam. They guard territory in quieter ways through loyalty, proximity, and maternal instinct. For many families, that difference shapes not just convenience, but safety. And yet, territory and wanderlust are only half the story. Because when the dog does stay by your side, when he or she curls up at your feet, the question becomes who bonds deeper, who clings tighter, and who carries that fierce instinct to protect. The answer reveals a divide between males and females that reaches right into the heart of the human-dog relationship. Difference number 4, bonding and parenting. For all the talk about territory and wandering, the real question for most owners is simple: who bonds closer, the male or the female? This is where things get fascinating. Research has shown that male dogs often respond more strongly to female voices, possibly because of pitch and tone, which makes them seem less intimidating. I've had countless women tell me, "My male dog was my shadow, my Velcro always glued to me." And when those dogs pass, the grief carries an extra weight, because it feels like losing a partner who never left your side. Female dogs, on the other hand, often express their bond through protection. They're more likely to guard the house, to watch over children, to act with that unmistakable maternal instinct even toward human families. It mirrors what we see in the wild, where mother wolves nurture and defend with everything they have, while fathers play a smaller role. In domestic dogs, that gap is even wider. Male dogs, more often than not, show indifference to puppies. They might sniff, they might watch, but rarely do they help feed or protect. Females, though, take command, proving once again that their bond is both nurturing and fierce. This divide raises a powerful question for owners. Do you want the dog who melts into you, who seems to live for your touch? Or do you want the guardian who stands between your family and the unknown? Neither choice is wrong. Both are real. And sometimes the biggest surprise is when these instincts collide, when a dog's very size, presence, and history in the record books reveal truths that go far beyond behavior. That's where the final shocking difference takes us. Difference number 5. Size, adoption, and records. When it comes to sheer size, male dogs usually tip the scale. Testosterone fuels bigger chests, heavier bones, and stronger frames. The record books prove it. Zeus, a male Great Dane, stood taller than 3.5 feet at the shoulder and was crowned the world's tallest dog. Zorba, a male English Mastiff, weighed in at a staggering 343 pounds, the heaviest dog ever recorded. But size is not the only story here. It's what size means for a dog's life. Larger males often spend longer in shelters. Studies tracking adoption trends show that male dogs wait on average a full month longer than females to find a home. It isn't always because people dislike males. It's because so many strays are intact males driven by their wanderlust, ending up behind shelter walls after slipping away from home. And once they're there, their bulk and their bark can make families pass them over, even when inside they're just longing for a second chance. Now contrast that with longevity. The oldest dog ever recorded, Bluey, the Australian cattle dog, lived nearly 30 years, and she was female. Her long, active life with sheep and cattle stands as proof that gender can tilt the scale not just in size, but in time itself. These extremes giants who struggled to be adopted and tiny females who outlived generations remind us that gender shapes destiny in ways we rarely stop to notice. But here's the most important part. Taken alone, each difference, health behavior territory, bonding size feels striking. Put them together, and they tell a deeper story, one that circles back to a question we asked at the very beginning. Are male and female dogs really the same? The conclusion may surprise you. So after all the science, the stories, and the surprises, what do we really see? Male and female dogs are not the same. Males often grow bigger, push boundaries, and sometimes end up in trouble because of it. Females often live longer, guard more fiercely, and carry that maternal instinct that touches every part of their lives. But here's the truth. Every owner eventually learns neither side is better. They're just different. For the family that longs for loyalty, a male may become that Velcro dog who never leaves your side. For the family that values protection, a female may be the one who stands at the door, ears sharp, body ready. And for those who simply love dogs for who they are, the choice is less about gender and more about the bond you build, the memories you carry, and the years, whether 15 or 20, that you'll never forget. If you've lost a dog after a lifetime together, you know those years never feel long enough. If you're choosing a new puppy, you know the decision feels heavier than words. That's why these 5 differences matter, not to divide us, but to help us understand, to prepare, and to cherish the love our dogs give so freely. And if this video helped you see your dog in a new light, then stay with us. Subscribe to the channel not just for more facts, but for more stories, more science, and more of that quiet companionship we all share. Because in the end, knowledge makes us better owners, but love is what makes us family.